Dorian sprints to Celaena's aid, his magic a warning bell of bad things to come. In the dark hallways leading from the clock tower, something lurks, stalking Celaena as she tries to find her way in the dark back to the main library. When the creature attacks, Celaena runs for her life, and Dorian stumbles after her until they are able to trap the creature in a spell, and Celaena can slay it. While Dorian tends to himself, Celaena goes in search of Celaena, only to find that the prisoner has been taken by Duke Parrington to Morath. When Celaena figures out the first piece of the tomb's riddle, she searches Elena's sarcophagus for the first Wyrdkey, only to discover the King of Otterlin found and claimed it for himself many years ago. When the creature attacks, Celaena runs for her life, and Dorian stumbles along after her until they are able to trap the creature in a spell so Celaena can slay it.
Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy, and we embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. And so it's in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have dissected in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons why you may love or hate today's popular books.
This week, we're discussing chapters 44 through 48 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight. For a complete list of episodes and the chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle BookTok for BookTok.
Before we dive in, let's talk about S.P.I.L.T, spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers. While our discussion is about Crown of Midnight, important context from the first three novels in the series will be discussed without spoiler warnings. That is specifically Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. This is not a read along for anyone who hasn't read at least these three books, and you will be spoiled from here on out. So please take this as your only spoiler warning. For all other spoilers beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works, we will keep those to the Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks area at the end of the episode.
Perspective and interpretation. What we discuss in this episode are strictly our personal interpretation of the text. We do not speak for Sarah J. Maas and in no way know her intentions for her books or her characters. We also know our listeners have their own personal views and opinions, and we encourage you to share your thoughts with us because every perspective and interpretation is worth exploring.
Language. I genuinely did not write any curse words this time around. I don't know if Jack did. I don't think she did. But
Either way,
sometimes we improvise. They may pop up.
explicit language, man, it's going to happen. Themes. We also discuss some heavy subjects throughout the podcast that can include themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self harm, and death. While we will do our best to give trigger warnings for the darker themes, we will discuss these topics when they are important to the text. Listener discretion is advised.
As always, we love keeping the conversation going because our listeners are so good at finding things we've overlooked or missed completely. You can share your interpretation of the text with us by posting on social media, tagging us in stories, sending us DMs, or submitting to the form on our website. We also post more exclusive content and host live streams for our Patreon supporters. You can find us at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk. This week, we ask ourselves, why does SJM continue to tie Celaena and Dorian together through their actions and the symbolism surrounding them if they are never quite aligned?
Themes we see in this section include truths revealed and predator and prey. Chapter 44 starts with Dorian following Celaena into the catacombs, and because that's a good idea, and he knows that she means business. How does he know that? Well, because of this quote. Perhaps he would have let her go about her business were it not for her braided hair. Celaena never tied her hair unless she was fighting, and when she was about to get messy. I like the idea that styling her hair is a huge part of her identity of what's going on, and I also love that it's not the sword strapped to her back. I mean that a little bit in tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
However, I do think that it is more telling that it's the hair that's
yeah.
the warning sign versus the sword.
What I do like about that is the fact that braiding hair is a very, what we assume, feminine thing in
Mhm.
a lot of Western culture. And so instead of seeing her hair and thinking, oh, she's going on a date, He's thinking, "Oh shit, she's about to go get messy."
Yeah.
I've already sworn.
Ah, that was you. You did it first. You failed first. Or did I already? No, no, that
No,
was
I
you.
think it was me.
Yeah.
Now, Dorian's
Sorry, there was just something about you saying, like, when her hair is tied back, things are about to get messy.
yeah, okay. Mhm. I
Blowjobs.
understand.
All right.
Oh, I mean, in my case, I was thinking women eating
That's
out other
fair.
women.
You are engaged to a woman, and I am but a hetero.
Straight.
Yeah. So unfortunate.
Dorian's magic is screaming at him that where Celaena's going, he should not go. It is not a good idea. He should get the hell out of there. Quote, he had to tell her to get out. Whatever this place was, neither of them should be here. Even if the power in his blood wasn't screaming it, he would have known. He had to get her out. Dorian descended the staircase. The imagery of Dorian's descent feels very tied to Celaena. It's almost a descent to destiny. They're
Hmm.
both taking steps towards something that is going to put them on a very specific path. Also, it's to me an indication of how much less, how much lesser
Yeah, yeah.
selfish Dorian has become. Grammar is not working in my brain today. Dorian wants to look out for Celaena. It is, in my mind, not a lot different from Celaena wanting to look out for Dorian when she went to Baba Yellowlegs and Baba Yellowlegs wanted to sell Dorian secrets.
Yep. That's fair. It is an interesting parallel where you have both of them descending into what is the truth and
Hmm.
horror. Uh, both of them, I don't want to spoil anything too much in the future, but there are things within this cave that indicate both of their future in many ways. In the
Mm.
cave, the tunnels, you know what I mean. There's a lot of mirroring in this book episode with the two of them. Celaena knows she's hiding from something she can't see while she's down there. Quote, and if she wasn't alone down here, then her torch was a beacon, and she was in no mood to be a target. She put out the torch with a grind of her heel. Complete darkness. She lifted Damaris higher, adjusting to the dark. Only it wasn't wholly black. A faint glow illuminated from her amulet, a glow that allowed her to see only dim shapes, as if the darkness were too strong for the eye. We learn pretty quickly that the monster is stays away from light, like it's scared of light. But it also at first when like before you get to that line, I thought it was funny of like Elena being like, "No, you will be a target. I'm still going to make you visible and
Yeah.
glow."
Yeah.
Also, we're going to see Celaena. Also, with this quote, what I really like is that we're seeing Celaena have the will to live. She does not want to be a target. She does not want some monster getting her in the middle of this darkness. So, we've seen a lot of growth and progress from her in these several chapters where she was super depressed.
Hmm. From a writing perspective, I think SJM does a good job making this whole sequence kind of eerie. Like in the quote Jack just read, the darkness is too strong for the light of the eye. There's this personification of the darkness. Here's some other quotes. Quote, the darkness seemed to expand, reaching for her. She wasn't alone. And another one, there was a scrape of nail against stone and then the sound of breathing. It was not her own. Oh, well, that one isn't actually an image, it's an actual sound. But what these things have in common is the presence of hands in the
Mm.
dark. And it feels very much like they're ready to grab you. You can't see them coming. I mean, that has got to be my worst nightmare is being grabbed in the dark.
Oh, really?
That's terrifying. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who it is.
Do you know what my biggest fear is? Like, if I have to go up and go pee in the middle of the night, and it's because I lived in Arizona for a little bit, and
Mm,
I've heard, do you know what it's going to be?
a scorpion in the toilet?
Yeah, or a snake.
Yeah, that too.
Because there's been a fair amount of stories of people who had snakes in their toilet or in their sinks
Yep.
when they
Yep.
went to go wash their hands, a spider, tarantula in the toilet. Like,
Yep.
that's my thing. I'm fine, but I'm scared of sitting down
It's
in a dark
usually for the
toilet.
people who live in the like outskirts.
I do live in the outskirts. of Studio City. The monster at this point is stalking Celaena just as much as, well, no, she's not stalking it. She's just trying to get the hell out.
Hmm.
But what I love about it is that we're getting the monster's point of view, and it displaces some of its anger onto Celaena. Quote, but she had come here. She had learned the marks, which meant she had to know what had been done to it. She had to have been part of it in breaking and shattering, and then the brutal rebuilding. And since she had come here, I feel like I could make a case saying that this is almost how Celaena views Kale. Like there's a displacement of anger that's happening. The monster is like, hey, she's here. I will be angry at her. And it's a
Hmm.
lot of that is the same way that she's angry with Kale, where it's like, there's a lot of reasons to be angry at a lot of people, but he is one of the easiest targets for that. So I like it. What I also love about this going back and forth between the monster's point of view and Celaena's point of view is the fact we are going from predator to hunter, and this is very similar and such a switch from when Celaena was hunting Grave.
Hmm.
I SJM is very good at doing mirroring moments and seeing parallels, and I think that this was a very clear moment of that.
I think that's a great point. And the constant back and forth also is very good at building upon the suspense of the
Mhm.
moment. What it also tells me, and what we're going to discover later, is that because we're getting the creature's point of view, the creature is in fact human, right? I don't know SJM to give non-human things points of view. Non humanoid, I should say, because Fae are not human.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
When the creature and Celaena face off, Celaena struggles to reconcile that humanity in the monster's appearance and its expressions, despite its unnatural power. It's that combination of, wow, it has anger, I can see it in its expression, and this combination with the supernatural power that make this creature maybe more terrifying for Celaena than anything she's encountered thus far, because on some level, even though she doesn't understand why it's angry, she recognizes the anger and can empathize with that anger
Mhm.
because it's a lot of ways a mirror of herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dorian describes the creature later, quote, "It looked like something that used to be a man, but was twisted and dried and broken, with hunger and madness written on every protruding bone in its body." I
Gross.
just I just wanted everyone to enjoy that
So
grossness.
we can all be gross and disgusted.
Yeah.
Selena starts running from the monster at this point, and I love that she's running, and then at this point, Dorian's like, Selena, is someone here? Should I be concerned? And she sees Dorian and she grabs and essentially hauls his ass along. Quote, to his eternal humiliation, as they hit the bottom of the stairs, she grasped him by the collar of his tunic, half hauling him up the steps. She hurled him into the hallway beyond the threshold. I love this so freaking much, just because it's like one, visually very funny, right? Like she's grabbing him, being like, get your scrawny ass up here, go away. It's also a reversal of gender roles. Like you, a lot of times, you have the damsel in distress, but Dorian in this entire series is the damsel in distress.
Yeah,
He's really is.
he really
But
is.
I know he's the princess in the tower, little damsel. I love him. But there is also a continuous theme here, and that theme is that Dorian is never able to do enough to save himself, and the fact that he has to rely on others. Even though he has magic, even though he plays a part, he still has to rely on others throughout this entire book.
Absolutely. He hasn't really done anything for himself yet to be deserving of his magic, to be able to help other people. Quick side note, the quote you just read, Jack, she half hauls him up the stairs and hurls him into a hallway. I didn't catch it until you read it, but I'm like, that's a little bit of a Fey
Oh,
breadcrumb that
yeah, yeah.
sh- it's
Strong
just
enough.
right. It's just like when she was racing to go to Nehemia before Nehemia was killed, that she
Mhm.
outran Kale's horse. Same
Yeah.
thing.
No, you're right. That is an absolute like Faye moment of her powers coming in, being like, "Get him over here now."
So, just like how Dorian was intent on warning Celaena of the danger, Celaena is intent on saving Dorian. Quote, even if this thing was intelligent enough to know the word marks, they had to buy some time for themselves. She had to give Dorian enough time to get away. Now, Dorian, from his point of view, recognizes that Selena's had months of training, and those months of training have made her stronger in a way he has not. And that's his humiliation, right? That humiliation matters. I genuinely believe that this instance is going to influence the fact that he does start training in Heir of Fire.
Mhm. Yes. And there's going to be a couple more moments that is going to help incite that.
hmm So it's at this point they're trying to keep the creature behind a door, and Celaena realizes her assumption about Dorian is in fact true. He has magic, and unbeknownst to him, he's trying to use that magic to seal the door shut. Okay, now your turn.
No, it's fine. My brain just started singing, "I've got the magic in me." Celaena and Dorian are working to contain the beast. Quote, once the spell is cast, just passing over that threshold will hold it in place long enough to kill it. What's that word I see? It's threshold. Thresholds always mean something. So, what does the threshold mean here? It means that things are changing. We normally see that. I mean, in case this is someone's first episode, I have no idea why you would start here, but I'll do this for you. Thresholds usually mean that a big change is about to happen. We
hmm
even talk about this in ACOTAR in the first book. There's a moment with Tamlin and Farah in the infirmary, and he pauses at the threshold, and it's very significant. It's used very often, and this is another moment where a threshold means something. I feel like the threshold in this instance means Celaena and Dorian are about to open up to one another about their magic, or at least his magic, and what she's doing, or at least partially what she's doing.
I think that's a great point. And there's actually something very intimate about this moment, even though they're trying to like save their own lives and
Mhm.
prevent the creature from getting out to kill everybody else in the castle. We know where this is ultimately going to lead. Quote, a line stretched taut between them, a moment of trust and a promise of answers from both of them. It's at this point Celaena starts drawing the word marks over the threshold. And, quote, he shifted so she could reach to draw above his head, their breath mingling. It's a very intimate
Yeah.
moment. No, they're not about to kiss, but to me, it's symbolic of where their relationship is now going to go. And what it's
Yeah.
the direction it's going to go is that sharing of secrets, that sharing of knowledge. And for lack of a better word, they're not kin, but kinship. Like they're really going to look out for each other moving forward.
It definitely shifts to be very familial
hmm
between the two of them.
Yep.
Once again, Celaena takes the lead when it comes to Dorian and being the one who takes on the protector role. Quote, let go and get the hell behind me. That's what Celaena tells Dorian. At least she didn't insult him by telling him to flee. Again, Dorian is very aware of his lack of quote unquote manliness, his quote unquote lack of masculinity. Again, these are all very hetero, toxic views to the world, but 'tis what we live in, and
Mm.
in their world too, apparently. But this is really going to impact Dorian when it comes to his future choices. And you hinted at it when it comes to Heir of Fire. And in general, I think some of his training, some of his strengths, and some of his weaknesses are really going to become visible, and you can trace them back to inciting moments like this.
Now, when Selena kills the creature, Dorian struggles to not be sick. Quote, Selena made 4 strikes, 3 to sever the emaciated torso in 2, and a 4th to stab through where its heart would be. His bile rose up again as she angled her blade a 5th time. That sickness conveys weakness, and it's just an emphasis on his lack of manliness.
Yeah. Yeah. Celaena and Dorian get away. She kills that monster very thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is no coming back. And once they are in Dorian's room, he changes while Celaena tells him what's going on. Quote, talking seemed like a good idea while he stripped naked in his dressing room. Now, initially, you might read that as like her being aware of being like, I'm going to look away while he's naked. Like, there might be like
Mm-hmm.
some kind of tension to it. But honestly, what I think it's kind of hinting at more is the fact that she's being honest and revealing her truth while Dorian is stripping naked, which is a different type of truth and vulnerability. So in this moment, they are both being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. We're going to see some quid pro quo here in this scene. But before we move on to that, I think it's important to point out how they got back to Dorian's room because of its symbolism.
I just had a thought. Can I say my thought?
Sure.
Sorry. It's also poignant because Dorian tells Celaena all of his truth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he is completely naked and she is not. And she
Yep.
only tells him half truths.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. I thought that
Okay.
was the point you were going to make, so I'm glad you made it.
Like, what one of us got there.
So, the symbolism of how they got back to the room, I think, is important. Quote, they'd taken the dark servant's passages back to his tower. Now, they're about to be honest with one another, or as Jack pointed out, Dorian's going to be more honest than Celaena is. In telling each other these secrets, they're also admitting something very illicit, something that symbolically has them debasing themselves to the level of servants, traveling through dark passages like rats or vermin, which honestly is probably how they view themselves in this oppressive environment, right? He's about to admit he has magic, which is punishable by death. And Celaena is going to admit that she's been fucking around, probably also punishable by death.
I mean, at this point, everything is punishable by death.
That's right.
In the meantime, while Dorian is getting dressed, and like Amy said, that they're already gross after some good old fashioned murder, but then having to sneak around going through the servants' quarters, Celaena is very gross and dirty. Quote, he'd offer her his private bath, but she'd refuse. That felt too intimate, too. I love whenever baths are referenced because we talk about it being very baptismal, very cleansing of sins, and we have not had her have a good bath in this book. There has not been a single moment where we've said, yes, she has cleansed her sins. We've talked about dirty waters representing that she isn't fully cleansed. And if you're just sitting here being like, Jack, you're looking too much into it. Well, riddle me this then. Why is it that there's a particularly famous moment in Heir of Fire where she takes a bath? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I? Yes. Okay.
When people see her when
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
sees her scars? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically this is her showing that there's a lot more work for her to do. There's a lot more sins. Nothing's clean about her.
Absolutely. And I think back to your earlier point, it's also showing how she is not going to be completely vulnerable with Dorian. She's not going to completely bare herself to him the way he's going to bare himself to her.
Mhm.
There's also this moment. Quote, Dorian appeared in a new tunic and pants, still barefoot. The sight of his feet felt strangely intimate.
I
SGM and
I
her
hate it.
feet.
I hate it. It's so gross. I can't remember what actor, but there was like some photos of this actor and actor girlfriend or whatever, and she was clipping his toenails in public at a picnic, like some park. One, public should never be done. Two, I don't know if I could love someone enough to do that.
You have a particular thing about feet.
I don't like it. I hate clipping my own toenails.
I love clipping my
I
toenails.
hate it.
Uh, Now, although Dorian resists telling Celaena about his magic, it is quid pro quo. Celaena has told Dorian some of what she knows about word marks and the creature. It's not all of it, but Dorian doesn't know that. And so she demands the truth about Dorian's magic because that is more important for the state of Aurelia. Quote, "You just saw me break at least a dozen of your father's laws. You think I'm going to turn you over to him when you could just as easily destroy me?" Now, Celaena's not Cale. She would never swear on her honor or her word that she won't tell anyone because
Hmm.
she is not, quote unquote, honorable. And I think what we're seeing here is there's kind of this power dynamic going on, but also companionship in how they're being tied together through the quote unquote illegal nature of what they're doing. It's secretive, it could get them in trouble, and it's going to tie them like a blood bond almost.
It also shows like they're not friends.
Mm,
I would
mhm.
never even question. Like if you found me doing something, it would never be a I promise I won't tell the police. I'd be like, "Bitch, the fuck you will tell the police?" No, of course not. You know what I mean? It shows how separate they've been
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that they haven't well they're still building that bond, but they haven't gone full friendship like that
right.
in the fact that there's even slight doubt there.
Well, and Dorian hasn't told anybody about his magic.
Yeah, well,
And
it confirms we don't think Dorian and Kale are very much friends either.
exactly. And I think that's why Dorian and Kale's friendship is going to tear apart because Dorian ends up being more like Celaena than he is like Kale. Not
Mhm.
only in his possession of the magic and keeping it secret because that's illicit, but also because ultimately what we're going to figure out soon is that Celaena has magic herself. And so they are tied together in a way that Kale, the mundane, is not. It's also, I think, why Dorian's going to be so upset with Kale when he sends Celaena off to Wendlin. Celaena is the first person he told about his magic, and maybe the only person he feels safe with that truth.
Yep.
Now, going back to a conversation we had an episode or two ago when Celaena killed Grave, I want to read a quote that I think is insightful, but also brings up some new questions for me. Quote, "No matter what had happened between her and Kale, no matter what she now felt for him, if she had killed him that night, there would have been no coming back from it, no recovering. In some ways, it might have made her into just another version of that thing in the library. It made her sick to even think about it." Celaena knows she's capable of ugly, immoral things, but she also recognizes her point of no return, and it wasn't torturing Grave.
Yeah.
It's killing someone who she views as fundamentally good. Someone like Kale. Even though she's pissed at him, even though she blames him for Nehemia's death, killing Kale would have been her turning point. Which I think is a
Fair?
self yeah, fair, a self-awareness that I think is important for us
Yeah.
as the reader to make sure, okay, Celaena's still okay, despite all the killing that's going on.
I did find the no matter what happened between her and Kale, no matter what she felt for him, she now felt for him. I initially read that, and I feel like I can still live in my Delulu land, that there is a moment here where the crazy kids just might make it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's a world because what I took that what she now felt for him is different than what she felt for him 5 days ago when she hated him.
Yeah.
It's not that killing he betrayed me, he killed Nehemia type energy. So
Yeah.
I really think this is one of those, if these two crazy kids had just, given it a beat, they would have found their way back to each other. But the true wedge between them will be her true identity, the fact that
Yep.
she's Fae.
Yep. Exactly. We get a nice little signal of camaraderie between Celaena and Dorian in this quote. "The prince went to his bed and hoisted up the mattress, pulling out a concealed book. Not the best hiding place, but a valiant effort." Now, this made me instantly think back to the beginning of the book in chapter 2 when she views Dorian and kind of judges him, thinks he's pathetic for getting queasy seeing the severed head at the beginning of the book. Now she's more like, okay, he's just a normal guy, so I'll cut him some slack. That's how I read this quote.
Yep.
And I think part of it is also she's learning to not judge those that she cares for, especially when she comes to understand that they are not judging her. And Dorian, for one, has shown, he is not judging her.
Chapter 45 starts, and we only have a few little bit of notes. But what does Celaena immediately do after seeing Dorian? Because she's like, I promise it'll be good. I promise, like, let's just call it a night. And so we
Hmm.
get this quote: Celaena didn't get a meal, or take a bath, or see a healer for her shoulder. Instead, she hurried to the dungeon. There's only one thing on her mind right now, and that is to
Hmm.
see Keltane. And this is another moment where Celaena does not go take a bath in order to see Keltane. She goes to see Keltane while she is still dirty, while she's still covered in her sins. One of her sins is the fact that she dismissed Keltane so much
And
initially.
yeah, and she's starting to realize Keltane was kind of a clue all along.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have judged her so harshly. But unfortunately, it's too late because we learn that Caltain's been taken away to become Parrington's bride, which is a fancy way of saying an abuse victim who is going to be continuously assaulted. How about the
Hmm.
fact that we've never really given that enough thought or credit
Yeah,
to, not credit, but like, empathy for Caltain?
yeah, yeah. Instead of shitting on Keltane all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you think Parrington's going to let her be alone, leave her alone? No.
Now, as I was alluding to, Celaena figures out through her conversation with Dorian about ancestry that those of the strongest magical lineage before magic was banished are being used by the king. It's those who wear the black rings who are harvested, essentially, because they have the magical lineage. Keltane being one of them, Cain another, Roland even also being one. Now, what are they being harvested into? Well, Celaena assumes creatures like the one she just killed. Because remember, she cut the creature open and discovered it had a human heart. Quote, for those last few seconds, it had been frozen in place. She had seen something human in its warped eyes, something that looked so relieved, so grateful for the death she gave him. And that's ultimately the purest evil out of all of this. It's that the king's magic has control over people's lives, including the physical and mental capacities of their bodies, such that they are no longer human. And I feel like that is the most terrifying thing that magic could do is take control of other people and their lives.
Celaena at this point does a little detective work. She goes back to, did she go to get some sleep at this point? I can't remember.
Yeah, she's trying to go back.
Like, she does get
Oh,
some sleep, and then
no,
she
no, no.
goes to Mort.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think she goes back to the library. She finds some black blood that smells like oil. She wants to wipe it off. She pulls some papers out of her pocket and she sees one of the papers that she wrote on that says, ah, Time's Rift, which is from the tomb.
Yes.
And that's when she
I think she's,
deduces,
but yeah, that's the next night. Only
sure.
because I was making a very compelling argument that she was filthy throughout the rest of the book, and that was wrong. And I had to delete those notes. So she gets a lovely night of rest and changes clothing because I had to confirm and get rid of my solid point that was not real. And she does what Amy just described, and she's like, wait a minute. Ah, time's rift. It's a clue. Let's go find the word key. We're in chapter 46, and we discovered that the word key was hidden inside Elena's tomb crown the whole time. Quote, she lifted shaking fingers to the blue jewel in the center of the crown. We know that Elena's statue was not decorated the way that Gavin's was, and the fact that it doesn't show her armor or her sword, which is almost a clue within itself because it's going to be in the crown. But most importantly, we see that her own crown is her weapon in the sense that it held a word key and it is the most powerful weapon of them all.
Absolutely. And when Celaena walks into the scene, she notices that the moonlight is kind of like piercing the crown. It's
Yeah.
highlighting the
Yep.
crown and the jewel within the crown. And as Jack likes to remind us, moonlight equals truth, equals Elena guiding Celaena on her journey.
we know that this book takes place over the course of a month.
I
Not
don't think there's been one new moon.
none. That's exactly where I was going for. Every single night has had moonlight. There hasn't been any new moon, all right? There has been no new moon rituals.
Mm.
Just wanna point that out, guys.
So here's my issue with this current moment. The anagram is unnecessary.
Yeah.
The first stanza in the Tomb's riddle is so obvious.
Can you remind us of what that stanza was?
Yes, I
Because
will.
some of us did not think it was obvious.
I apologize. That's and you know what?
'Cause other people in this podcast didn't know the riddle the first time they read it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Just like when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I didn't know the answer to Amarantha's riddle.
I knew instantly. But can you remind me though of like what the
Yeah.
can you find it? Because now
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, was it in the poem?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
In grief, he hid one in the crown of her he loved so well, to keep with her where she lay down inside the
Yeah.
starry cell.
Yes, yes. Okay. That part I thought you meant the riddle of it being odd times rith is an anagram. I was like,
Oh, no.
does it say and so the word shall be what?
No, but the
No, no.
anagram is just so
Yes.
unnecessary.
I am here with you and I agree with it. I too remembered thinking that now. Yeah, I was like, was the anagram was not a clue. But to your point, does not need to be here. And I actually think that it being an anagram is kind of dumb.
I agree. So, just a writing note, if the clue that helps Celaena figure out the riddle was unnecessary to figure out the riddle, maybe don't have the anagram.
Yeah, because what does the times rift turn into? Like
I am I am the first, as in the first word key.
that's even more complicated.
Yep.
That riddle, that should have been the first riddle. And then the whole bitch I'm in the crown riddle should have been the second one. Cause that one is far more complicated. The initial riddle is very much look in the crown, you're a fool. I forgot that that's what the unfortunately, the only anagram that truly has like that shook me is
Tom
from
Riddle.
the is from the author that we all hate, we do not love, we do not stand with her, can't stand her, bitch who shall not be named, but fuck me, that was a great anagram.
Thomas, is it Thomas? Or no,
Tom
it's Tom Marv.
Marvolo
Yeah.
Marvolo Riddle. I
Yeah.
am Lord Voldemort. That was a
I
good
just got
one.
goosebumps. It
Yeah,
was so good.
that's an anagram.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, J.K. Rowling is the worst human being on the earth, and SJM couldn't come up with a better anagram for me to be inspired. Until then, any authors out there do a better one so I can cite that.
Well, and if you're gonna have an anagram, make sure it's necessary.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
absolutely. Same with Mort. Make sure he's necessary too.
Also that.
Because
Also that.
we're not getting like what he's not being useful at all. Mort talks about when the king used to go looking for like around in the tombs. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of lore from him.
Mhm.
Sure, but he's talking about the evil king, uh, and that's not like the OG king. So, quote. Always poking about in forgotten places where he wasn't wanted, reading books no one his age or any age should read, though. Moore added, that does sound awfully like someone I know. Similarities between Celaena and the king are very prevalent in this book.
Mhm.
There's the moment where they look at each other and smile, and Dorian says that was the first time he felt nauseous. And in many ways, you can view this as a path that Celaena really could have gone down if she wanted to decide to be evil. You know, she could have just been
Yeah.
like, I'm evil. Uh, that's how choice made. I do feel like it is another dumb moment where Mort didn't realize that the king took the word key.
Yeah, how can he know everything that Celaena well, no, he does know that the king took it, he doesn't know that it was the Wyrdkey that he took. Does that make sense? He didn't know it was the Wyrdkey in the crown.
But he takes something from the tomb
Yes. Yes.
and then magic disappears. I feel like Mort could have put 2 and 2
Two.
together a little bit more. And Elena could have. There's just a lot
Confirmed.
of all knowing that's not
Yeah.
helping.
Right. And why be all knowing if not helpful?
Yeah. Why so sexy if so dumb? But I do struggle when it comes to these all knowing entities that play a part. I think that a book like Quicksilver, and I won't spoil it, but there's a reveal at the end that I appreciated. And when you have a key player like Elena who is so messing around and dabbling with these things, how does Elena not know that the king? No, Elena does know that the king took the Wyrdkey. That's what Nehemia is trying to figure out. Wait,
Hmm.
let's unpack this. Okay. Then why does Archer leave the clue for Celaena, the riddle? Because he was trying to get Celaena to solve the riddle, which then would mean that Nehemia is trying to get Celaena to solve the riddle.
Right. And they're trying to get her to solve the riddle so she can figure out where the Wyrdkey is. They know the king has at least one Wyrdkey. They want her to find the Wyrdkey.
But it's implied, Archer kind of implies like they didn't know what the riddle meant. I felt like in that scene, he kind of makes it sound like, I knew you'd be the one to figure it out, if I remember correctly. He says something along those lines.
I'm pulling it up.
Yes, please. Because we're trying to make this ending make sense.
Okay. So it took Archer 5 years to find the riddle he left in Davis's office, which is about the eye.
Hmm.
And he says, and you must have solved it. I knew you'd be the one to solve it. Nehemia knew too.
See, that implies that she is the one to solve it, implying that the others couldn't, right?
Right. And he does mention Celaena says the king has at least one key, but where the other two are, I don't know. Archer says, we suspected as much. That was why Nehemia came here in the first place.
Okay, so none of it's confirmed, it's what they suspect. Why does Elena not confirm that for Nehemia then?
This
Right?
is, yeah, no, 100%.
It's if Elena is trying to get Nehemia to go and like kill herself and to go be a part of this and to try to get Celaena to be part of this whole thing, why doesn't this all-knowing meddler come
Say,
in?
by the way, he took my Wyrdkey.
Amy's pointing to her forehead right now. He took my Wyrdkey here. Yeah, I think that's a really helpful thing to have said.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna have Elena be the one to do it, then maybe the all-knowing door knocker as another option. So,
Yeah.
I don't think this ending is very clean.
I have notes.
Alright, let's continue. Celaena spirals because she doesn't know what to do, even if she got the Wyrdkey, or how to even look for them. Quote, because the world didn't need an assassin with a coward's heart. It needed someone like Nehemia. I hate that this is how Celaena views herself as a coward because she's going to be carrying that deep into Heir of Fire and maybe even beyond. And you could argue that it was an unspoken insecurity that Celaena had going into it, probably capitalizing on her childhood trauma, her parents being murdered in the bed she was in. But would Celaena even view herself as a coward if Nehemia hadn't been the one to say that, if those weren't her last words?
It's an excellent question. I don't know. I don't think so. And I'm going to ask a similar rhetorical question because Celaena thinks at one point, quote, Nehemia, you had to have known about the Wyrdkeys. You must have had a plan, but what were you going to do? Is Celaena giving Nehemia too much credit? She goes further, quote, if the gods had bothered to listen, Celaena would have traded her life for Nehemia's. Celaena is putting Nehemia on this freaking pedestal, which is why
Mhm.
Nehemia calling Celaena a coward sticks with Celaena so much. Now, The problem for me is that when Nehemia is revealed to be the liar that she is, she falls off that high pedestal that Celaena has put her on.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of Celaena being like, you know what, I feel better about myself, she's like, wow, Nehemia's not on the pedestal, so I must be below ground. I must be in the subflooring.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, you know what, Nehemia was not perfect. It's
No,
just tragic, actually.
it is very tragic. I'm trying to remember. Does Nehemia gets told to kill herself after their argument? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. I just feel like what sucks is that Nehemia knew that she was going to die and she let their last words
be
be
that.
that because she knew it would mess her friend up more.
Yep, that's why we don't like Nehemia
Yep.
and the way SJM wrote her.
Dorian then has a dream about Gavin, and we realize that Gavin's kind of a dick. It also gives me Parent Trap, a la Lindsay Lohan. Just the like
Okay.
one person, one gets one parent, the other one gets the other parent.
Yeah, fair.
Gavin and Elena. So Dorian's describing how Gavin looks and they have the similar hair. Quote,
Similar eyes.
oh, they have, thank you, they have similar eyes. Quote, the similarities ended there. The man had shoulder length, dark brown hair, an angular, almost cruel face. And I didn't even go through and quote every single time that that Gavin's kind of a dick, but there's descriptions that he's used to not being questioned. He's used to giving
Hmm.
orders. He's very abrasive. And I'm just like, you're kind of a dick, especially when you compare him to Elena, who is much nicer when coercing young women to do her needs.
I was going to say, Elena is also a dick, a manipulative dick. At least Gavin tells you what he wants.
Yeah, that's fair. If you're going to just be that way, at least like say it to my face. Don't
Yeah.
don't comfort me on the stairs crying just to orchestrate the whole thing. You
Yep.
know what? Angry sip. Ooh, I have an idea.
Yeah.
For the next episode, we're going to play a drinking game of hydration and water, guys. Every time we complain about Nehemia, we take a sip.
Oh, that's so funny.
Actually, from here on out.
Okay, we're going to have to
anytime
pee
our
real
notes,
fast.
yeah, anytime our notes complain about Nehemia. Chapter 47 starts. Celaena decides that she wants to talk to Nehemia. Quote, Celaena kept her hand steady as she dipped her finger again into her blood and traced the word mark on the wall, copying the symbols in the book with perfect precision. Out of all the people that she's lost, we're talking Sam, we're talking her parents, we're talking about a long list of people. The
Hmm.
one person that she decides to summon is Nehemia. Now, and yes, Nehemia might have the answers that she needs, wordmark adjacent, there's things there, but it ends up not really being about that.
Hmm.
But before I go into what I think it's about, I do want to highlight real fast that there's a good mirroring moment where Selena's using her blood for the word marks here versus at the beginning of the episode when she was using it for protection.
Hmm.
So, because I feel like she could have used chalk. I'm just pointing that out.
I mean, I think they allude to the fact that you have to use the blood of someone who has magic.
Yeah, all right. But I took that as the blood of someone who uses has magic to actually do the incantation versus actually using their blood. But because doesn't she use chalk at one point to do a word mark?
I don't remember.
Yeah, either way, it's a nice mirroring moment, if not gross. For now to go into the noble slash non-noble reasons. And I don't think that Celaena summoning Nehemia is necessarily for the good reasons that I listed, right? Hey, she knows more about word marks. She can give me some insight. And the reason why I say that is because while Celaena is trying to summon Nehemia, she remembers those words again, quote, you are nothing more than a coward. And for her, speaking to Nehemia is more about an apology than it is about information. And it's not even about redemption. Like, it's not even about, I hope I get forgiveness. It's truly, I want to apologize. Because the first thing that Celaena says before she even fully sees Nehemia, she kind of like sees her walking in and she just apologizes, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then she says it again. The next, like, she says, I'm sorry 3 times before she says anything else. And
Mhm.
even dead, Nehemia is a bitch. Everyone take a sip. I wrote that. Because Nehemia cuts off Celaena, telling her that she shouldn't have opened the portal. Although personally, I think that if you talk fast enough, you can get it all out. It's still about abusing Celena's broken heart and ignorance and guilting her into all of it. But like I could talk real fast. I could give you a whole explanation of, Amy, here's what you got to do with the word marks. There's a lot of things you're gonna have to keep in mind of. Yes, there's 3, but you can get rid of the other ones this way. Look at that. I can save your life in 30 seconds.
Since the beginning, Nehemia has been gaslighting Celaena. So, of course, she's going to continue to gaslight Celaena. Quote, I thought you were smarter than this. Celaena looked up. The light radiating off the princess didn't reach through the glowing portal, as if there truly were some sort of line, some final boundary. Now, the use of light. Let's talk about this. It's supposed to delineate from the dead from the living, right?
Yeah.
She's on one side of the veil, Celaena's on the other side. However, I also think it's symbolic of Nehemia's withholding everything
Mhm.
from Celaena, withholding truth,
Mhm.
withholding affection, withholding kindness.
Yeah.
Nehemia has no empathy for Celaena.
No,
She,
the first
she
thing she tells her friend was, I thought you were smarter than this.
instead of being like, "Don't worry, I'm at peace now." Like, that's not hard to say. She says so
Yeah.
much more after this.
Like, and she's going to give her a nice, I'm not even going to say nice, but a little final hurrah. But this was just so not the way. And I think that it does, regardless of what Nehemia's little speech is going to be, I do think that this shows not resistance. What word am I thinking?
Resentment.
Resentment, thank you. Resentment to Celaena. As Nehemia is about to leave, she says goodbye to the dog. Quote, Fleetfoot pawed at the floor. Goodbye, my dear friend, Nehemia said to the dog and began walking into the blackness. She was about to let her go. She was going to walk in and say, Ho, I thought you were smarter than this. Look at her dog and say, my dear friend, and then leave her. What
Yep.
what the fuck is that? And yes, she's about to say something to Celaena, and yes, it's probably hard. I'll give Nehemia this. It's probably hard for her too to say her final goodbyes to her friend. It's probably a moment of emotions that it's overwhelming for her to process. Yeah, I would believe that more if I saw more of that from her.
Mhm.
And again, you think you'd want to tell a loved one immediately how much you love them and forgive them, you know? So
Mhm.
Nehemia, to her itty bitty, small, tiny credit, tells Celaena that she made her choice and that she ran towards her fate. My note, fate being an old dead white woman telling her to die. Then we get some emotion. Quote, but no matter what I did, Alentia, I want you to know that in the darkness of the past 10 years, you were one of the brightest lights for me. Do not let that light go out. Great last words. Slight redemption. Wished I believed that she meant it.
I was gonna say, this is just SJM using Nehemia like she always does, which is delivering some cool lines
Yes.
with nothing to back it up.
There is no character development that got us to this point.
Nope, nope, and I don't believe Nehemia saw Elena as or Celaena as a bright light.
No.
I think she was just like, "Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
That should have been me."
Yes.
The only thing about this that's important is that the fact that Celaena has a light inside her and Nehemia tells her to not let it go out. It's a very important image and theme that's going to follow Celaena into Heir of Fire.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why it's there. It's not because Nehemia actually believes it.
And then you can argue that Nehemia is literally just saying it to leave another clue for her to be like, hey, maybe you go towards your famous. Maybe
Yep.
this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Get your magic back.
Yeah, like maybe that. So it's like, even then, it's still not without some kind of ulterior motive.
Yep. 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 I feel like I've seen theories online that this is not the real Nehemia.
Elena again, just coming in and screwing with everyone.
However, if you are questioning whether this is the real Nehemia, let's remember that Fleetfoot never comes down to the secret passages,
Mm,
never comes to the tomb. Fleetfoot only comes here because of her love for Nehemia,
yeah.
which is
Yep.
supposed to be an indicator that this is the real spirit of Nehemia. But you know what?
We are now in chapter 48. Archer comes into the space and we are all shooketh because we discover that he has been tracking Celaena for weeks. What? Uno reverse. Everyone is stalking Celaena. Maybe she's not that great because he's stalking her, the monster stalking her. Nehemia to a point was stalking her. But the fact that Archer was stalking Celaena and the fact that he was assisted by Nehemia must hurt her pride, not just because it was like, wow, my friend betrayed me, but also she was outsmarted
Mm-hmm.
by someone who is in sex work, who Celaena had repeatedly thought, not that she was better than him, but she's an assassin. She learned
Right.
these tools of the trade. He had a different set of tools,
Yeah.
and she was outsmarted by him.
Mm-hmm.
Celaena tries to get him to do the whole, I'm an even evil villain, and I'm going to give you a whole speech about me being evil. Quote, other people can't even begin to fathom the things we were forced to do. I think I think that's why I was so infatuated with you when I was a girl. I like to imagine she said it like that. And she kind of like put her boobs out, be like, I was such a girl and so infatuated by you. And then, start singing, Happy birthday, Mr. President, and lays down on a piano. That's not what you imagine? All right. So, so Amy's okay. Are you okay? You're
No.
laughing a lot harder than that joke deserved.
No, I'm shocked.
You're like, I never fall for their stupid shit. 15 years and you still fall for it, sucker.
I need a sip.
Okay, we all sip now. I do love that she kind of uses a little bit of seduction here, a little I'm just a silly ignorant girl because I don't pull in all the moments of these quotes, but there's another moment where she goes like, you and we could get out of here type thing. Like she's
Mhm.
very much implying that she's attracted to him, and I I'm on board. It's a YA book, so it has to go pacing quickly. If SJM were to rewrite this, I would like to imagine that she would almost even have Celaena kiss him and then
Mhm.
stab him while she does it, like really
Yeah.
kind of lay into this attraction thing cuz
Yeah.
it does I feel like Celaena does go from what you to I'm going to pretend like I'm confused and now I believe it.
Mhm.
I don't fault SJM as a bad writing. I think this is just a product of a YA book and you got to keep
Yeah.
that pace going.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Nothing like shared trauma and attraction to get someone to believe you.
Good use of the feminine manipulation. Now, Archer admits his master plan and the fact that getting hit by an arrow was intentional so that he could earn Celaena's trust. Quote, and when I took that arrow for you, I knew you'd trust me, if only for that night. I apologize if my methods were harsh. Trick of the trade, I'm afraid. I read this as Archer appealing to her feminine, quote unquote, feminine trait of empathy,
Mhm.
right? Tricking her into trusting him. The irony is that he can't sense that she's using her quote unquote feminine manipulation to get this information out of him. His ego is too inflamed. His masculinity is too toxic for him to realize that she's tricking him.
When I read, he was like, trick of the trade, I'm afraid. One, it rhymes. Love it. Two, what fucking trade is that? Like, what? I don't, I'm not pretending I know every sex kink there is out there, but I haven't heard of the one where you get an arrow to your shoulder. Trick of the trade. That good old fashioned one where
Yeah.
someone stabs you to save them. I'm sure it means manipulation. I'm sure it means
Yeah.
like, using your emotions against you.
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
I just don't know where that lesson would be
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the trade. and the trade lessons. Celaena realizes that Archer's plan goes much deeper than just getting her to join his cause. Quote, trust him, lose Nehemia, and lose Kale. He'd isolated her from her friends. The same thing she'd suspected Roland had wanted to do with Dorian. And the same thing that Elena is doing to you. Everyone is just
Mm-hmm.
manipulating her. But it's that mirroring again between Dorian and Celaena that I do want to highlight here, where Roland is trying to manipulate Dorian, but Celaena never thought of who was trying to manipulate her. And
Mm-hmm.
again, who's trying to manipulate her? Archer, Nehemia, Elena.
Yep.
And while I am angry at Kale, and he is a product of the patriarchy,
He did not necessarily try to manipulate her.
not in the initial parts of this book when he just wanted to touch her because she was pretty, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that that she just didn't catch that from anyone. Archer signs his death warrant at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, Archer bowed his head. Because I know what you are, Celaena, Arabin told me one night after you went to Endovir. She shoved the twinge of genuine pain and betrayal down until it couldn't distract her. Yes, he helped kill Nehemia. Yes, he got her to break up with Kale. I think she still would have potentially not I'm not saying that she would kill like maybe she would kill him, but I think that the absolute he needs to die moment was with this. And I also get confused with this like what you are, not who you are. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe he doesn't know that she's the queen of Terrasen essentially, but just that she's Fae.
Mm-hmm.
But it could all be, either way, he was fucked at that moment.
Right. Whether he knows her real name or her real heritage, that being Faye, either way, that's a risk, and she's willing to kill for that. We're going to talk later about whether or not this reveal was earned.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk about it here, but I do want to talk about Archer using his charm, his courtesan charm, to kind of woo Celaena onto his side. Quote, and for our cause to succeed, we need you. I need you. He took a step toward her. But you, gods, from the moment I saw you outside the willows, I've known how good we'd be together, the things we'll accomplish. He's trying to charm her right now, just like she was trying to charm him. Luckily for us, we know that Celaena has become immune to Archer's charm. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Archer doesn't realize it.
Okay. I was just thinking, that you were saying that he's a courtesan, he knows how to charm, like that's just what he's really good at. I don't know if that would work on us. Mainly, one, I'd imagine a man, no, but if a woman was charming to you, maybe. I think because women aren't creepy when they're charming. But if a man tried to charm me, I would shut down and not know what to do. And I just be like, you're too pretty. I'm tapping out. I can't handle this.
Anytime someone is that forward, I don't believe them at all. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what their gender is.
I think it was like in her interview with Megan Quinn, I said something like, that's why love bombing won't work on me. And then I think I'm going to add that to both of us. That's why love bombing could never work with us.
That's right.
We just would be like, no, I don't believe you.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people online saying love bombing works for them because they agree, yeah, everyone should love me right away. Versus us, we're like, well, something's broken here.
Nope. You're lying to me.
We have issues. Dorian at this point goes to Kale after his dream. And I do love that he goes to Kale knowing that he's not strong enough to take care of this. And again, that must
Mhm.
be a huge blow to his pride.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those moments where you can tell that it really does matter to save Celaena because this is not great. Because as they near the hidden passage, Kale doesn't want Dorian anywhere near this passage for good reason. He's the prince. Quote, if he'd had time, he would have locked Dorian in the closet rather than risk bringing the crown prince into danger. But these two sides of Cale are now going to war, right? There's a side that's like he needs to lock Dorian rather than risk the crown prince, right? So we have the title going on here. But he also needs to save Celaena, so we have this moment of true decision making. Who does he risk? And he ends up risking Dorian in order to save Celaena.
Yep. He still has feelings for her.
And if the Fae thing didn't happen, I really believe these two crazy kids would have worked it out. I don't think that they would have won in the long run because,
Right.
the whole Fae of it all.
Yeah.
But I think they would have given another whirl
Yeah.
just to break up again. But
Yeah. I agree.
which of us haven't done that? I haven't.
I haven't.
Wow. Gone to sleep with an ex?
No. I don't have an ex.
I'm
Fix
just
it.
happy. Once I broke up with someone, I've never gone back to sleep with an ex. Look, I just got to get whatever wins I can at this point. That's like,
I'm proud of you.
aren't we all surprised? Everyone, let's applaud me and take a sip.
All right, it is time for breadcrumbs and broomsticks. In chapter 44, when Dorian and Celaena are talking after they've killed the monster in the library's catacombs, Celaena thinks about how, quote, both Celaena and Nehemia had mentioned wings. Wings in their dreams, wings flapping through the Farian Gap. What was the king brewing there? Actually, he's breeding something, aka Wyvern, which is all set up for Heir of Fire.
Also in chapter 44, when Dorian talks about the lack of magic users in his bloodline, Celaena thinks, quote, there were so many things that she could tell him, but if she did, it would just result in too many questions. So Celaena merely studied the pages he displayed for her. More lineage breadcrumbs, maybe things that in hindsight he would have wanted to know.
Yeah. In chapter 46, while Celaena is talking to Mort about how the king of Otterlin has the Wyrdkey that used to be in Elena's tomb, Celaena thinks about, quote, why hadn't he, the king, taken Damaris, one of the greatest heirlooms of his house? Maybe because he's not himself.
Yeah, right? What? In chapter 48, when Cale and Dorian search for Celaena in the secret passage, Cale sees the open portal in the hallway in the, quote, world that showed through the arch, depicting a land of mist and rock. We learn in House of Flame and Shadow that mist indicates an area where the veil between worlds is thin and is often where portals can be found. Oh, good job. Wow. What was the other breadcrumb you're like, I'm going to wait for later?
Oh, it's not a breadcrumb. It's a broomstick.
All right.
It's an answer to the question
All
that we
right,
asked.
go ahead. So the question we asked our listeners,
Was the reveal of Archer's deceit earned?
all right, I want to hear yours before we read theirs.
So, I personally believe there weren't enough clues leading up to it. I just re-listened to our episode 6 where we're like, none of this makes sense. How does Archer know that Nehemia is being questioned? Blah, blah, blah. Well, now I understand because Archer is the one who hired Grave to kill Nehemia. So
No, but that still doesn't answer that he knows that Nehemia is going to be questioned.
fair, fair, fair. Either way, I'm racking my brain for the clues that would suggest the level of manipulation and involvement of Archer in
Mm-hmm.
the background of this story. So what do we have? We know that he trained as an assassin, like in the Assassin's Keep for a little bit,
Not as an assassin, just
just
trained.
trained with the assassins.
Mm-hmm.
So he has some skills.
Mm-hmm.
And symbolically, he dressed as a wolf at one of the parties.
You know what? We should have known then. That's on us.
I can't think of anything else that gives it away.
The other guy flipped him off and he smiled at him in a very mean way.
That's not a clue. That's not really a clue, though, right?
I think in episode 6, I also listened to it. We made another good point, and that is there's too manipulative characters happening. There are too many kind of
Yeah.
Machiavellian, as you called it, masterminds in the background trying to manipulate Celaena.
Yeah.
And it gets so messy of who's trying to manipulate who, because I think I still would have been okay with Archer being the one if I just fucking understood to what extent did him and Nehemia work together.
Yeah.
Where did it end?
Yeah.
What was the point? Like, what point did it end? And if he started getting info, like if he had just said a line of, um, Nehemia had cut me off, because he does say Nehemia cut me off weeks ago. And then I'm just like, well, then why do you know that she was being questioned?
Right. I think he said like the last time he saw her was a week before her death or something like
Something
that.
like that, yeah. A male listener submitted a thought. I know, we
What?
have to. Okay, this is from Patrick. Oh my god. You got Patrick. He writes, he took a screenshot of his note and uploaded it to my comment, and he writes, 3% male listener here. I'm just like, Patrick, you're a celebrity to me. I will forever be referencing Patrick now. Love the podcast and am loving the Throne of Glass analysis. While I think the reveal isn't necessarily earned, I think it's absolutely required, and it perfectly sets up Celaena's ascent to Aelin across Heir of Fire. If we don't have this pitfall between Kale and her, I fear she becomes complacent with him, and I don't think she would have felt the same to become Aelin as soon as she does, and we wouldn't get the training montage that is Heir of Fire. Yeah. I mean, it's needed. It's 100% needed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's here, right? It's it is necessary for what's to come.
Can you read? Did you find the section that he does his little villain speech?
Celaena says Nehemia never could understand like what we've been through. The word keys should be used. And then Archer says that was why she left the movement. She left a week before she died. We knew it was a matter of time before she went to the king to expose us all, to
Yeah.
use what she'd learned to grant clemency to Ilwe and to annihilate us with the same stroke. She said she'd rather have one all powerful tyrant than a dozen of them.
So it was a week before.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there's again, how does he know that she's being questioned? How does he do other manipulative tactics?
We do learn in Heir of Fire that the rebels do have spies in the castle.
All he had to do was say something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or anyway, so let me read what some other thoughts beyond Patrick. Patrick, you're a star. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I didn't mean it. But you
But
are. I didn't mean it that way.
But I love you anyway.
Sorry, Patrick. Okay, someone says I feel the same way about the Archer reveal uh as I do Hunt's betrayal in House of Earth and Blood.
Yep.
That's fair.
That is
Someone says
so fair.
I think I expected it. No, I think we are told to be suspicious of him from the jump. This is also funny. I thought he was a basic bitch, and then he wasn't. He was just being a bitch. On third reread, I saw the breadcrumbs, and they used the bread emoji and a broom.
Oh, cute.
That was cute.
That's cute.
Someone else says, nah, I was like, oh, that sucks, but wasn't emotionally invested in him enough.
Yeah, someone else says, I didn't feel invested in him enough to be invested in his betrayal. I wanted to be, though.
Maybe a hot take, but no. On the first reread, on the first read, it came out of nowhere. I think it ultimately comes down to the deceit is confusing of who's being deceitful to who and
Yeah.
for what reasons and why. And that adds too many layers of all this.
Yeah.
We talked about, I think in episode 6, when we said all we needed was Nehemia to not be the one to make the choice necessarily for Celaena. I think we said something along the lines of her saying like just let me have one more go with Celaena. Let me do one more thing.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
we could have had Archer actually set up Grave to kill Nehemia. And I know we need that sacrificial element, and I think we still could have like worked towards a sacrificial element, but we just needed Archer to be, in order to make Archer believable, I think I needed Nehemia to be less Machiavellian, because we keep getting the Nehemia plot twist that the Archer plot twist one doesn't feel as significant, two kind of comes out of nowhere.
I agree. I agree. I feel more invested in Nehemia's deceit and her betrayal of Celaena than I do about Archer. I mean, so much so that I forgot Archer was a bad guy when I reread this book.
The other problem is I walk away from this being more hurt from Nehemia than I am from Archer.
Yep, exactly.
Like, we never established Archer was going to be Celaena's bestie. They have a flirty encounter, and then they meet each other again, and it's, they're kind of like working together. But then he becomes someone that's like paranoid, trying to leave. And like, there wasn't enough history of we're best friends. There wasn't a buildup of
Mhm.
like, no, we're really close again. He wasn't someone that the betrayals gives me any kind of like, "What?" Like, but you are so close to them that the betrayal from Nehemia is so jarring, so shocking that we almost don't need the Archer betrayal because again, it's just another thing that
Yeah.
on the pile of betrayal shit.
Yep. I completely agree. Now, onto our question for the week. Why does SJM continue to tie Celaena and Dorian together through their actions and the symbolism surrounding them if they are never quite aligned?
I forgot that was our question. Okay, on one level, I wanna be like, so that she can show that women are stronger? I don't know. I don't mean it, Patrick. Uh
Now that our male audience has a name, we
Now
can't
that
be as
there's a real person.
we can't be
No,
as mean to the
Patrick.
men.
No, Patrick. I don't it's everyone but you. I I feel like it goes down a slippery slope of who's capable and who's not capable, and I hate to keep referencing, Harry Potter, unfortunately, but there was, like I was talking about this with a friend the other night of just I was, like, just lamenting on, like, how Harry Potter. I hate that Harry Potter was taken away from us essentially, but, like, that IP lives in my heart, although the author is dead to me. I do not support her financially, but there's a line that they say that she has of, like, "You have to figure out what is right and what is good, what is easy," right?
Mm,
And I
mhm.
think there's a certain line to this of what is the hard path and what is the easy path, and I'm not saying that Dorian is necessarily the easy path, but it's not the sacrifice as much path. And I think the comparison and the parallels kinda makes Celaena's journey hurt more, because he's not gonna be asked to sacrifice the way that she is.
Yeah. And maybe that's the point, is that a woman's path in the world is always harder than the man's path.
Mhm.
We see that in our society in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. It's not universally true,
Yeah.
but in the patriarchy, it does certainly favor men.
Yeah.
I think also it's supposed to remind us that at all times it could have been either one of them.
But it also couldn't have. Like, it's supposed to be at all
Yeah.
times it could have been one of them, but they shouldn't have made Dorian so inept. That's but it is I think you're right. It is meant to show at any point it could have been one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I don't think that's something that she delivered on.
I think Dorian's breaking takes place a lot later than Celaena's breaking.
Yeah.
And if Celaena had never broken, let's say hypothetically she ran off with Kale and they lived a happily ever after, eventually Dorian would have broke, hypothetically, and would have started the journey that Elena needed to have started. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I think maybe the mirroring also represents human versus fae. So let's
Mm,
remove gender from this, right? Let's just
okay.
look into because you have Elena's champion and Gavin's champion, right?
Mm,
In
mhm,
many ways.
mhm, mhm.
Elena was from the Fey lands and Gavin was human, right?
Yep.
And both of them are in many ways like reborn or they're here to be represented through their descendants, and this is they each have their own champion and they have some stake in the game afoot. I think it's also like I think it shows which it's just a representation of human versus fae and
Mm,
how both are hurt in different ways and how they both have to come together and both are victims to this world. Like,
yeah.
yes, the fae have been absolutely annihilated and pushed out, but the humans are just as trapped.
I think that's a really good point. Actually, it reminds me of Crescent City. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Crescent City was trying to capture this theme
Mm,
even more deliberately than Throne of Glass did, which we've talked about before. The powerful beings are here to control the Fae, who were given the humans to also control,
yeah.
right? And ultimately, both races are victims.
Mm-hmm.
And although they are ultimately weaker than Valg in this case, they do have the power within to overcome the Valg, but they needed champions for
Yeah.
that to happen.
Yeah. It is. I can totally see how there's themes that she kind of hinted upon here that she wanted to explore in Crescent City. I can remember when at one point we were in the gym, and I don't remember what inspired it. Probably something about today's craziness of this world, but just kind of saying that SJM in Crescent City doesn't get enough credit. That the Asteri make a point saying, "Aren't you happy? I gave you someone to control. I
Mhm.
gave you your own slaves." And
Mhm.
that is actually, I think you can look at that in today's, you
Yeah,
know, time of like, aren't you happy I gave you someone to hate? You get to oppress them. So the oppressors have given you someone to oppress so that you feel like you're safe, and everyone
and
gets
yeah.
to continue because there's always someone worse you get to shit on.
Yeah.
And I do think that we can potentially see some of those hints here of, who's oppressed more, the humans, the Fae are oppressing the humans are oppressing the Fae, the king's oppressing everyone. And
Mhm.
I can see that kind of being like a moral element that she wanted to carry out into Crescent City.
No, I completely agree. And maybe this is the fledgling idea that sparks
Hmm.
Crescent City later, right? Because ultimately she is building a universe that does tie to Crescent City. So I could see how she would take the themes maybe she wanted to explore here and take them into that other world where she could explore them more fully.
You can almost argue that Dorian and Celaena are almost combined in Bryce herself, right?
Mm,
Bryce represents the human and the Fae
yeah.
and the struggles of both. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more. I mean, since we know that people from this world go to the Crescent City world, we know that there's going to be a lot of links, grant like in little breadcrumbs, we're going to
Yeah.
see bits here and there. However, I can totally see how themes would carry on from this world into the next world. The
Yeah.
SJM would have that there as well.
Agreed.
Let's take a sip before we sign off.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Next week, we will be exploring chapters 49 through 56 of Crown of Midnight.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you are enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye.
Bye.